start building something which is just based on some loose specification that we're going to sort of make up at the start of class, and and we'll see that there's no one right way to do it, but we'll be exposed to some of these problem solving aspects. Okay. So here is my plan for a game that we can make today. Probably it won't even take us the whole class. It's something that you might use, for example, to help. Well, it could be to help kids learn about basic arithmetic, or it could be to help. Yeah. Yes, the recording has started. So it could be to help kids learn about basic arithmetic, or it might be to help seniors keep their minds sharp, or to help young people keep their minds sharp, whatever. But the idea is that it should be a math game. We've already done a really simple one like that last class. And here's what the interaction for this game will look like. So it'll basically pose a simple math question. We'll just have it do addition questions, adding two numbers together, and it'll just pop up a prompt like this. Here's two numbers, and it's up to the user to type in the answer here. Okay. So some things we would like it to do. It should get harder as you successfully answer questions. It should, well, one thing it should probably have is a time limit. Right, these kinds of games are not very difficult. If you have an unbounded amount of time, even if you're really bad at math, you can just go paste these things into Google or Wolfram Alpha and get the answer. So that's not so much fun. What else? What other kinds of requirements? Yeah. Yeah. So we should have maximum number of lives. So for example, maybe 3 incorrect answers and the game is over. And what else do games have? Yeah.
They have a penalty for a wrong answer.
So the penalty is you lose a.
Lives, you do it like you get a time bonus. You have like time added on at the end. Say like you can do a certain number of questions in a certain amount of time. Wrong answer, you have to add like 5 seconds.
Yeah, yeah. It's so in terms of that. So that is something we could do. So for example, I don't know, some kind of bonuses for performance. I don't know, every 5 correct in a row, something happens. What's a typical thing that happens in video games as a bonus? Extra lives are a possibility. Yeah, you said it. We should maybe somehow keep track of a score so that someone who plays this game has a number associated with that play, and they get an idea if they play repeatedly, they know if they're getting better or worse, and they can compare their scores to other people who play the game to know if they're better or worse at this thing. So there's lots of nice things. So this looks like this, and we could keep going with this list, and it's already starting to get kind of daunting, right? It's like the more things we add to this list, the more difficult it looks to be, and the less easy it will be to just start doing what we want to do. So for now, and this is a common strategy, we should we should maybe just not worry about doing all of these things at once. Let's start with the basic thing of the fundamental part of this game is we ask a question and we get the user to answer it. Okay. So let's start working on that. All right. So where do we start? Yep.
We need 3 random numbers.
3 random numbers. Why 3?
Because you need one for the operator. Oh wait, no, we're only using addition, so we need 2 random numbers.
Yeah, so we need 2 random numbers. So how do we get random numbers?
From random and put random.
Yeah. If we've forgotten, we can just Google it and get rand int and rand range. Let's go rand int. Okay. So rand int AB gives us a number between A and B inclusive. What kind of range? Yep.
You need from random input random.
Yep. What kind of range?
That's 1 to 100.
So that's already a design question, right? And well, at some point we were going to want to make this harder, and one way to make it harder is to ask people to add bigger numbers. So let's just
How about you set it as X and Y?
What's that?
How about you set it as X and Y and let the user define it?
Yeah, we'll encapsulate this in a function or something, but we want a game that you just fire up and play without answering any questions. So we'll start something simple. Just numbers between 1 and 10. Okay, there's the X and Y. So the goal will be to ask the user to add up these 2 numbers, X and Y. So what else do we need? Yep. We'll need a variable for the user's answer and maybe the correct answer as well. But what else? Before we can get the user's answer, what do we need to do to the user? Yeah.
You need to add up the 2 numbers.
Okay, so we'll maybe want to keep the correct answer. What else? Yep. Yeah, so we need to, before we can get the user's answer, we have to ask the question. So we want a nicely formatted question. And well, we have a picture of, what we want. Looks like this. So x plus y equals, that'll somehow be the prompt for the user. Okay. All right. So far, so good. And we will, well, somehow we're gonna use this more than once, right? This little bit of code, we're gonna use it repeatedly. We're gonna ask a bunch of questions. And so maybe we'll just wrap it into a function. And we'll let someone else decide how we're going to do this. So what are the 2 things that this function needs to return? So somebody who's using this function needs to know two pieces of information, the question and the answer. So actually x plus y they don't care about, or x and y individually they don't care about, they just want the answer. Okay, so there we have something for asking a question. So let's quickly test that out. Okay, so if you make a question with the maximum range being 10, there's one of them. Make another one, you get a different question. Seems to work correctly, and you can change the range to 100 and so on. All right, what next? So we've got a system for generating the questions. Now what? Yep. So we need to ask the question and get the user's answer. So in order to ask the question, we want something like this. So we'll start with a sensible range of 10. So there we've got the question. Now how do we ask it? Yep. Well, we've sort of got it already. I mean, we're already getting questions in pretty much the form we want, so we can just say that's the prompt, right? Just print the question. The cursor will be blinking there on the right side of the equals, and waiting for the answer. What do we want to do with this raw input? Yep. So we want to compare the answer they put into the correct answer. Now, if we do it this way, that will never be correct because the correct answer is an integer and raw input returns a string. So we'll want to do a conversion to integer. All right. So we've printed a question. We've read the answer from the user. Now what? Yep. Sure. Else? Okay, so there's a really, I think we've now got a really basic version of this game. 9 plus 2, that equals 5. Sure, wrong. 6 plus 9, 15. Correct. Okay, so there's the one round version of the game. Ask a question, give the answer. The most basic version of this game. What's the next element of gameplay that we should add? Yep. Well, before we can add lives, we need something more.
Points.
What's that?
Points.
No, I mean, if we just look at we just play this game now. 7 plus 9, 16. Correct. The game's over. That's not really what we wanted, right? We wanted a loop. And what was supposed to control whether the loop continues or not? What's that? Attempts. Okay, so let's say you start with 3 lives, 3 attempts, and while the number of lives is bigger than 0, we'll keep asking questions. Okay. Now this isn't complete anymore. So we've just made an infinite loop. The game is going to play forever. What do we need to do to make that not happen? Yeah.
Subtract a life and a wrong answer.
So when you get a wrong answer, you should subtract a life, and maybe we'll let the user know about that. There. So that seems to work. So now we're getting somewhere. We've got the basic version of this game. Go back to our checklist. So we've got this. It repeats. Good. We have maximum number of lives. So we satisfied that requirement. Okay. What's the next thing we could do? Yeah. Okay. So that's a good point. So it really is unfortunate. So this is not on our list of requirements, but it's really unfortunate if you're playing this game and you're doing really well. You've saved up 20 lives, and you've been going for a while.